there, it's Heather. So this is a mixed media page I've done for Mermay. I smudged using some sage and also picked out some pretty crystals to give me some inspiration before I started. This is the picture that I drew of my mermaid, and I started by hand colouring her using a few Inktense pencils and also some vintage Derwent watercolour pencils. I don't need the colouring to be perfect, so I just wanted to lay down a base of colour and then just added a little bit of definition. I'm going to be colouring it again later on when I add it to the journal page. So she's a pretty girl. She reminds me a little bit of Raquel, which is one of my mixed media girls, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to call this mermaid yet, so if you've got any ideas, do let me know in the comments below. I'll be pondering on that before I add her into the shot. So I'm just adding a little bit of definition using some extra pencils, and then I am going to add her digitally so that I can print her off and cut her out and use her in various journal pages and various journal spreads. So I'm just going to cut her out and remove the border from the paper that I've printed her onto, and then I'm going to just add a few doodles to her hair, and I use a fine liner pen. I think it's a Uniball. It's just such a relaxing process just to add a few doodles, and the black really pops on the hair and really stands out. You can get lots of ideas on how to do doodles on Pinterest. Just add doodle art into the search bar and you'll get loads of inspiration for that. So I got out one of my scrap wallets, and I've taken a load of scrap paper out. What I'm going to do is just collage around the mermaid, and I'm just using ordinary PVA glue because this is only going in my recycled junk art journal. So I'm just adding the PVA onto a piece of card which I had tucked in the back of the journal. I'm going to bind it into there when I've finished working on it, and I'm just basically adding rectangles of pretty patterned paper from my scrap and then just using the PVA just to make sure that it's stuck down properly. So I'm sticking the picture down onto the page. It's only on basic copy paper, so it's not particularly robust, but it's sticking down okay. And then on top of the actual picture, I'm just adding a few more scraps, and I thought it'd be nice to add like a little border because I've got loads of these very thin pieces of card. Now I want to add a little bit of greenery, so a bit like seaweed. So all I did was just draw onto some scrap green card some pictures of foliage, and then I cut those out and I'm going to layer those up onto the picture as well. And I used the pattern paper that I've got in order to be able to just cut out some foliage from there, because this is really pretty. Some of the paper's glittery and it's already got patterns on there, so I thought, well, I may as well make use of that. Fussy cutting, not particularly well, ready to layer up onto the picture. I wanted to also add a little bit more colour in there, so I went with the orange, which was inspired by some of the crystals that I picked out. This is a little starfish, and I'm just adding a little bit of detail there with a fine liner pen, and later on I go in with some pencil as well. I also cut some seaweed and foliage shapes out of the orange card and paper as well, and then that just adds a little bit of variety. This piece of card is just so lovely because it's got such a gorgeous flocked texture to it. I can't believe how many shapes I managed to get out of a few scraps. So I just lay them out. When I've got an idea of where I want them to go, then I'll add some glue and just stick them down onto the page. I just wanted it to sort of form a bit of a background, but nothing too regimented. So when I've got all the pieces laid on and stuck down, then I want to go in with some of these gel crayons. They're absolutely fantastic for smushing around on a page, and you can really feel like you're back at school just playing around, just smushing it in with your fingers. And I do go in with a baby wipe as well because that's such a lovely way to get them to blend together, and it's just a nice way to add a little bit of shading and just generally a little pop of colour here and there. I wanted to make her hair a little bit more vibrant, so I added a bit more of the pink and the sort of orangey yellow, and it really stood out then. And I did add a bit of this shimmery purple as well so that it glistens from all different angles. So finally I just went in with a little bit of extra blue just to add a bit more definition to that background, and then smushed it all together with a baby wipe, and I just think that works so well. So thanks for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this mixed media journal page process. This now goes into my book, and I'll be able to use it for inspiration for other projects. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, bye!